have a couple of things I want to say before I get started with this video. First of all, Happy New Year! Woo! Second, because I do my videos super far in advance now, I didn't know that this video was gonna get a bunch of lovely comments, and so I didn't address it last video, so here I am addressing it. Thank you for giving me lovely comments. So, I read books, just like everyone else. I do not, however, tend to read modern, like, YA novels. I see a lot of stuff on Booktok, because yes, I have a TikTok account, sue me, about, like, modern YA stuff and about book recommendations, and that's great. But yeah, because I read books and the algorithm listens to me, I guess, I get recommendations for different books. A lot of times it's like shorter horror stories, which I will very happily read. Unfortunately, something has happened to my feed, and I don't know why. I don't know if I've angered God. I don't know if I said something in conversation with a friend that TikTok overheard and has now punished me for it. But I have been getting, how do I describe these? I try to keep this channel family friendly. These videos are not made for kids, but I want kids to be able to find this video and watch it and not be scarred for life. So I'm going to explain this delicately, but that will be difficult. Basically, some people write romance books, which is great. Everyone loves romance books, but they're not just romance books. They're a little bit, I believe the term is spicy, and not in like the angry cat way. There's a little bit of, the books are adult literature. There's a bit of the whole romance thing, and not just the love romance. It's porn. Nope, stop it. Nope, this is a family-friendly channel. Which is why, whenever these videos popped up on my For You page, assuming they were not horribly, terribly uncomfortable, I would save them. And that did in fact rule out most of them. But there were some remaining. So the videos that I am going to show you are little snippets from these books, and I would like to discuss them with you because I have questions, comments, and most importantly, I have concerns. Let's get started. I have my phone here, which is cracked, and I'm gonna get a new one soon, but not yet. Do I have any order I want to do this in? Should I just start at the beginning? I'm just gonna start at the beginning. I forgot. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's just start with these two. You're the only human born into your werewolf pack and destined to be alone. So your family has arranged for you to marry the widowed beta who's obsessed with you. I'm gonna stop you right there. I have several questions. So you're a human and everyone else is a werewolf. Okay. Okay. I am not a werewolf expert. I definitely like the supernatural. I'm definitely big into horror, but I confess that I don't really understand werewolf genetics, but this seems unlikely. I also am not big into the alpha, beta, sigma, omega. Those are the four, right? Not in that order, but I believe those are the four. I'm not big into that, but I believe beta is like the submissive one. So I believe that this is implying that we are wearing the pants in this relationship. But and he's widowed and he's obsessed with me. There's just a lot going on, but let's see what happens. But one night, while finishing up your maid duties, you accidentally fall asleep in a visiting Lycan lord's bed. So I'm a maid. How did I accidentally fall asleep in someone else's bed? Particularly the person whose house I own. Or particularly the person who owns the house that I am cleaning. The person I'm working for. Or no, he's a visiting Lycan Lord. Okay, so I basically fell asleep in the guest bedroom. I don't know how that happened. Seems... Because you either were standing next to the bed and passed out, in which case... And, like, fell on the bed, in which case there are probably other concerns you need to address. Or you intentionally laid down and closed your eyes and rested on the bed, but you accidentally fell asleep. Which is, dare I say, wildly unprofessional of you. But you wake up to find the dreamy male immortal watching you with a shocked expression. I would be shocked too if I came back to my hotel room and someone was sleeping in it. Who are you? He growls, climbing onto the bed. Reasonable question for someone who's asleep in your bed. He brushes back your hair, staring into your eyes with fascination. And where have you been hiding, mate? Okay. So from what I have gathered from the different, like, videos I have seen, some of these Tik Toks things have mates, which I believe is just, like, soulmates. I don't know how you recognize who your mate is. This guy seemed to have figured it out pretty quickly. But I guess it all worked out because if she wasn't his mate and she was just napping in his bed without asking, that would be problematic. Let's go to the second one. This one, there's a couple like these where they, the text has letters, has like different letters in it, like you can see the A on lays and the I on mistake. I think some of it, like some of the worst ones I've seen have been seeming to try to get around like the TikTok censors the same way that they say like unaliving instead of kill to avoid censorship, but this doesn't make sense to me because I don't think either of these words are not appropriate for TikTok, but that's not the point. Let's see what happens, because I've forgotten this one. When he lays his head on your shoulder because he's exhausted from fixing the mistake you made. How sweet of him. It's so exhausting cleaning up for your dumb idiot self. You worked all night, didn't you? I'm sorry. If you're sorry, then don't move. He gets comfortable on your shoulder. When he sleeps, you look over his face and realize that you want to protect him as much as he protects you. You know what? That's cute. That's cute. I'm not going to read it because I know for a fact that all of these are spicy books, but compared to some of the other ones on here, this is cute. Good, cute relationship. You just fell into your mirror. Strong start. Ready out with the Alice in Wonderland. You had no time to process it. You know, like, hello? Good morning? You fell into a mirror. And landed in a castle straight out of a fairy tale in the bedchambers of a gorgeous king. A lot of these YNs, I don't think they're YNs actually. I guess it varies. Different authors are going to do different things. But a lot of these I've seen give the character a name. So I imagine that this is not a YN. But the female heroine here, finds herself in the bed of strange men often, and I'm not one to judge. If you want to be in many people's beds, that's fine. I just think you should do it on purpose and not just, like, find yourself there. You're back, he says, rushing to scoop you from the floor and into his powerful arms. You have no idea what he's talking about. Me neither. I guess we have that in common. It's okay, my love, he says, planting a kiss on your forehead. You may not remember me yet, but we've lived hundreds of lifetimes together, and we'll live 100 more. That's concerning. I hope he's telling the truth, but so far I've been given no reason to believe him. Although I guess I just fell into my mirror, so why not? I just feel like... I don't know, man. I feel like I'd want a little bit more of an elaborate. I feel like everything happened very quickly. It was mirror, bed, king, 100 lifetimes. No explanation for any of these things. But she seems to be taking it better than I am, so. Again, with things happening very quickly, I'm sure the pacing is better in the books, but when you think you're dying and you ask the Dark Fae a favor, okay, so it's a lot to grapple with. I'm dying, and there is a Dark Fae nearby who I'm asking a favor for. I also just realized a lot of these have book flippings, and while I've made sure that none of the snippets they give you are too, if really at all, spicy, I have not paid attention to if there's anything in the background that's overtly sexual. So if there is, I apologize. But you asked the Dark Fae a favor. Will you allow my parents to spread my ashes in the meadow? It's a very sweet request. Alistair, presumably the Dark Fae, jolts like I just kicked him. Ashes? I want to be cremated. That's not going to happen. Do you know what it does to me when I think about you being reduced to nothing but dust? You've only known me since yesterday. Okay. You've only known me since yesterday. It's enough. Enough for what? Enough to know where you belong with me. He points to himself, then at the meadow. Not out there, not scattered around in a million pieces of the dirt. So what's the fantasy? So this protagonist, who I will refer to in first person, because that's what they're referring to when I am dying, so I met this guy yesterday. It doesn't say how I'm dying, so I guess I don't know how quick it is, and it doesn't say that he is responsible for my death, even though I am skeptical. But so, not only does he very quickly become obsessed in a creepy way, I don't want to... Obviously, people are going to have different opinions on what is romantic and what isn't romantic. I don't think it's romantic to... There's a motorcycle outside. I don't think it's romantic to become obsessed with someone, much less in 24 hours. But not only is he super obsessive and also may or may not have led to your death, but he also is like, your opinions and what you want does not matter to me. Yeah, he's like, I've known you for 24 hours, you're dying, and I will not honor your last wish in the name of romance. I don't know, man. I would not like this guy very much. I would not find him romantic. Good luck to her, though. Okay, let's see what's going on here. When he's a brutal gargoyle who's used to humans fleeing in terror at the sight of him. I don't think... Okay, I'm not like an expert on the supernatural, but... Are gargoyles humanoid at all? Like, if you're attracted to a werewolf, that's like one thing, because they're human for like 90% of the time. If you're attracted to a vampire, that's one thing, because they're mostly human looking. But a gargoyle, interesting male love interest, but he's a brutal gargoyle who's used to humans fleeing at the sight of him. But you've just seen his monstrous form for the first time as he fights to protect you. Gargoyles aren't... I mean, they're scary, but they're not like these giant, like, hulking, tough guys. They're like... I don't know, maybe I'm not being open-minded, but you've just seen his monstrous form for the first time as he fights to protect you. So he braces himself for your scream of horror. But a bright smile curves your lips and you call his name like there's no one you'd rather see. And that's when he knows he'd burn down the world for you. Okay. What are my thoughts here? The dynamic seems healthy, which is more than can be said for many of these guys. Still think a gargoyle is a bit much, not gonna lie, but like, but he's sentient, which means he's sentient. He seems to like her. I don't know if he should burn down the world for her, but we're gonna call that a hyperbole and go ahead and say that these guys seem healthy enough. So, okay, let me talk about this author really quickly before I get into it, because this I actually looked for. I looked for this description, and here's why. So, the author is named Siggy Shade, I believe. Yes, Siggy Shade. I keep messing that up. I keep wanting to either say Shiggy Shade or Siggy Shade, but it's Siggy Shade. I've by far seen... I don't know if that is a male or female name. Google says it can be both. I kind of don't want to know. But Siggy has written many of these books. I have seen them advertised more than any other author on TikTok. And they are... I don't want to be rude, and I want to make it very clear that my opinions are my own, and that everyone is entitled to be attracted to the things that they are attracted to, and... you know, that is between them and their partner, or partners. It is between them and whoever they choose to engage in these acts with. So, I want to make clear that all opinions stated are mine alone and are not, and it is just my humble opinion. These books are vile. And if you look at the comments for any of these book descriptions, most people would agree with me. And most of these book descriptions I had to rule out because they were so bad, like made me uncomfortable and would certainly make you guys uncomfortable, so we're not gonna do that. But I wanted to include something, and I did manage to find this, which is a PG-13 clipping of the book Stalked by the Boogeyman, which I've seen several like synopses for, or not synopses, but like little bits of the book. So search for that at your own risk, because some of these descriptions are a lot. But let's start with this, which is like the tamest version of the tamest clipping from this book that I could find, because I had to include it. So, when your enemy catches you on a date with another man, and it looks like the devil, but I am presuming that this is the Boogeyman. You touched what belongs to me, he growls. Yikes. I'm assuming he's referring to me, the protagonist in the situation, and I'm not sure I like his tone. He's also my enemy. I didn't know I had an enemy. Good for me, I guess. But I don't appreciate the possessiveness of this man that I'm not romantically involved with. Frankly, I'm not sure how much I value possessiveness of men that I am romantically involved with, and yeah. What are you doing, you ask? It's a good question. Silence. You are about to learn never to consort with other men. What do you mean, other men? Have I consorted with you? Because it just told me that you are my enemy. You seem to have 0 dogs in this fight. Allie, the other man rasps. Call for help. Did this dude just get beaten up or murdered? Because we seem to have skipped that part. I forgot about this. Your enemy decapitates the other man. Why? You are my wife, he hisses. Well, am I your wife? You were just referred to as my enemy. Did this get retconned? Did we just get married? Or are you also my husband, but I felt neglectful of mentioning that on the first slide? And then it has Stalked by the Boogeyman by Siggy Shade on Amazon and KU, which I don't know what that is. Monster romance, enemies to lovers, apparently very quickly, enemies to lovers between the first slide and the last slide. Stalker romance, which seems inherent in the title. Obsessive hero, touch her and you die, clearly. I'm censoring that out because it's gross. A bunch of spice emojis, which we know what that means, and he. And I don't know what that means. It can't be good. Alright, we're done with Siggy's shade, but they seem to be the biggest dog in the whole Booktok fight, so I did feel the need to focus on them for a little bit. Sorry if the camera shifted, I needed to change the battery. Let's move on. Okay. Some of these start out so strong. Okay, when your enemies break into your dorm room whilst you're sleeping, I have several questions. One, I also don't remember if these are about to get answered, so we're gonna find out together. One, how many enemies? Because that is plural. Two, who have I made enemies with? Like, because we're in college, I presume, or maybe we're in like a boarding school. No, we better be in college because these are spicy books. I forgot about that. We're in college. We are in college. So we have our own dorm. What kind of enemies am I making in college that it's not just like, I don't know, like a rival or like someone who, I don't know, the theater example I can come up with is someone who I compete with for roles, or I'm assuming that there are other hobby equivalents of that. But no, I have several enemies who hate me enough to break into my bedroom while I am asleep in there. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what kind of people I have gotten involved with, but I think I should stop. I took a sleep tonic, and I'm completely oblivious, which is, I don't know if they knew that, but I am completely out. The horde of enemies I have made at college are in my, alright. What? So, they watch you sleep, silenced by their obsession for you. Are we enemies or not? And also, silence, so they're all, I don't know how many there are, we're gonna say 10. 10 enemies are standing around the bed, just staring. Stunned by your understated beauty. Thanks. Confused by their attraction to you. I can see why they're confused. They broke into my dorm. First of all, I think it's fair to be confused that like several men are in. They don't know that I took the sleep tonic. She could just. So as far as like, I think if I forcefully entered someone's room with a group of people and that didn't wake them up, I'd be confused too. I'm not sure if I would start being attracted to them. But I think we all handle things differently. So they're confused by my attraction. They've tried so hard to fight it, to convince themselves they're not in love with you. Is this a hive mind? But there's no denying it. No matter how often they push you away and are cruel towards you. You belong to them as much as they belong to you. Can you get out of my room? Nope, that's the end. That's the end of the Can we reenact this for a second? So a group of men, it does not specify how many, a group of hive mind men who all have the exact same thoughts break into my room. There's no apparent reason. And then when they realize I'm not waking up, they're just like, I'm so infatuated and confused by my attraction to your understated beauty. And I would like to ask how I got a horde of enemies to begin with. What am I doing? No, okay, I don't want to victim blame. I'm sure that people have experienced anger from groups of people for no fault of their own. But you think the moment you got, it's enemies, so it is at least two. You think the moment that you got two enemies that were big enough enemies that they would break into your dorm room, you'd think that that would be the time that you nip it in the bud and are like, oh, okay, I'm gonna maybe talk to my RA about this. I can't do this, man. When you're kidnapped by the city's hottest mafia prince, a couple questions. One, what is a mafia prince? Is this the son of the Dawn? Is this, what I was simply not aware that the Mafia was a monarchy. But you know, you learn something new every day. There are, whatever city I am in, there are several Mafia princes, not just one, not like two. There are enough Mafia princes that you can make a list of which ones are the hottest. Not only that, but I have identified the one that kidnapped me as being the hottest. So I'm not sure what how that bodes for my survival, if that has any impact at all, but it's always good to have all the facts straight. But okay, but yeah, setting the scene. Kidnapped by them. He asks about the scars that's one, scar on your face. It's a good question, I didn't even know I had it. You tell him who gave it to you before realizing me. Did you kill him? He smiles. Look at you putting it all together. Okay. Couple questions. First of all, if I am just telling him who gave me the facial scar, how did he kill them? Unless he already knew and it was like a rhetorical question. Second of all, if I have been kidnapped and therefore have presumably no access to the outside world, if I got kidnapped, I doubt that they would make me let me make YouTube videos or something. But I somehow managed to figure out that the person has been killed. Or they got killed before I got kidnapped, I guess. But anyway, me. He was a senator's son. I would like to stop stuttering, but I do appreciate the exposition. Him. And you're mine. Is that it? Is there more to this? Nope, that's everything. So this is supposed to be romantic, but I will point out that he did kidnap me, which is impolite. He did murder an abuser, which, while I don't condone murder on this channel, I will say that I'm not gonna finish that sentence. We're gonna put murdering an abuser in the neutral category. So we've got good, neutral, bad. He's got 1 point in the bad category for kidnapping. We're actually gonna give him 3 for kidnapping, because kidnapping is kind of a big deal. That's not just like being mean, and then 1 for neutral for murdering. There's just a lot going on, and I still don't understand why he's a prince. The prince part confuses me. I'm sorry. Her billionaire boss texting her while she is getting drunk in a restaurant. Again with the letters, but we're almost at the end. We've got this one and then 1 more. Him, where are you? Not on the clock, so it's not your business. Her, sitting in a castle waiting for Prince Charming to show up. Beg pardon? Okay. I don't know what to say to that. His voice right behind her. Doesn't look like a castle, but here I am. So, I'll admit that I am a little bit concerned about the fact that this all happened so quickly, because the way that I am reading this is that he texted her where she was, despite the fact that he was just watching her. Because there's no way that he heard that he got that message and then teleported to her in order to make that witty one-liner. He was for sure already at the restaurant. But we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he probably did not, like, follow her there. Weird line on her part. Here is my understanding, here's my guess about how the situation played out. So he either sees her in a restaurant or followed her to the restaurant and wants to, like, dramatically reveal himself. So he texted her, "Where are you?" hoping that she would set him up for a one-liner, and he did, and everything works out. But that's a very weird thing to text. It's like that's a very good one-liner to make with that, but, like, what if she was just, like, none of your business? Or at a restaurant? What do you do then? Also, him being a billionaire did not seem to impact this part of the story at all, but I'm imagining the idea, if I had to guess, the idea behind making sure that we know he's a billionaire is to make sure that we know, I know that this could be interpreted as creepy, but we're supposed to see him as the good guy because he has a lot of money. And frankly, it's working. I'm ready to marry this man right now. Alright, last but not least. Oh my god, I keep forgetting about which ones I've saved and making myself laugh. Okay. When your little dog jumps out of your arms to chase ducks onto a partially frozen lake. The ice is thin. Dangerous. Fiddlesticks! I named my dog Fiddlesticks. Why did I do that? You call the pup's name, but as usual, he stubbornly ignores you. Also, how did a little dog jump out of my arms? Like, I've held animals before, and they can, like, wriggle out, but they've never just, like, although I have cats, which are, I think you hold them differently than dogs, but I've held, like, little dogs before, and you can't, they're not, like, resting on top of your arms, they can't just jump out, but maybe I'm obsessing over wordplay. I think the really important thing is that the dog is named Fiddlesticks, but then an elegant gentleman appears at your side. Fiddlesticks nearly responds to his commanding tones, but ultimately the little bugger is more intrigued by the ducks. You need to train your dog, man. Faceplant emoji. She's blonde too, so. And then the unthinkable happens. Also, the TikTok account that shared this is called Spicy Regency Reads. And while the woman in the background is not wearing a Regency-era dress, this does seem to be formal wear and is perhaps indicative of a woman of status, of a woman that you would see in a Regency-era novel. And the man is described as elegant, which is the way that you would describe a high-class man in a Regency era. Why is the dog named Fiddlesticks? I love books from the Regency era. I do read a lot of classical. I won't pretend to be an expert in the Regency era, so is it very possible that Fiddlesticks was not an uncommon name for a dog, and this joke is gonna make me look stupid and ignorant? Yes, I suppose it's a possibility, but I have enough faith that Fiddlesticks was not a common name for a dog that I am willing to make this joke without Googling it, so leave in the comments below if I look stupid, but I am hoping that I don't. But what is the unthinkable here? The ice cracks and Fiddlestick's short legs scramble futilely as his tiny sausage-like body sinks beneath the ice. His tiny legs and sausage-like body. Way to drag Fiddlesticks. So, I imagine Fiddlesticks is a wiener dog. I don't know why the image here just cracks me up. You've got this woman in the background, like, dressed to the nut, presumably with a coat on, because that dress has no sleeves and it is wintertime. So this very fancy, regal, perhaps Regency-era woman standing next to a man in, like, a full suit, just yelling out for Fiddlesticks, and then his tiny legs and sausage-like body just, and as and his short legs scramble futilely. Oh no, not Fiddlesticks. Oh my god, wait, I just realized that there's a dog at the top of this. Is that a... It's like a... It's definitely a wiener dog, but it has the colors of... Is it a Dachshund? The brown and black? I'm not a dog expert, but... I think it's a Dachshund, but correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, you move to save your little dog, but the gorgeous stranger snags your arm. Wait here, he says. He hands you his great coat before you can say a word, and before you can say a word, he is on the ice himself. He nearly reaches the spot Fiddlesticks fell in, and then... Okay, wait. I'm gonna stop right there. So Fiddlesticks is a wiener dog, and they're like this big. This man is presumably a fully grown adult man. If the ice was thin enough to crack and have Fiddlesticks fall all the way through, I guarantee that the moment the man steps on the ice, it's gonna, like... And I am, in fact, not an expert in many things. I am actually an amateur for most things. I'm not a jack of all trades. However, my understanding... I'm sure ice doesn't freeze perfectly evenly, but people who understand how ice freezes, please confirm my hypothesis in the comments, that I don't believe that that on a single frozen lake there is any spot where it is strong enough to hold a grown man in one place and then weak enough for a wiener dog to fall through in another. Unless you had you cut a hole in the ice and then it refroze or something, in which case I could see it being thick in one area and then thin there. But, Jesus. I'm assuming that's not the case here. Anyways. He nearly reaches the spot Fiddlesticks fell in, and then... Is he gonna fall into? Disappears beneath the ice as well. Who'd have thunk it? The ice that couldn't support a wiener dog couldn't support an adult man. If only we could see it coming. I commend this guy for being sweet and not creepy like the other guys who we have seen as the male protagonists in these stories. I just wish that men in these stories could be kind and also not dead, because I gotta imagine that this dude died because it's frozen water and that's gonna send your body into shock and send you beneath the water, and also, like, you managed to make it really far out there, but I can't imagine it's gonna be easy to get back, because you're gonna try to pull yourself back on top of the ice, but you can't support your full weight, and while you might have been able to make a running start across it the first time, I'm not sure it's gonna be able to get you back over it without falling. I mean, I guess you could try to swim back and then break through at the edge, but I mean, it was strong enough to support your weight there, so if it froze unevenly, I don't know, I just think that falling into a frozen lake isn't good for you. Anyway, these are some of the not gross stuff that came on my For You page. Please get it off my For You page. Again, I mentioned this a little bit when talking about Siggy Shade, but I want to make sure that I clarify. There is nothing wrong with reading books that are like this. Oh god, how do I say this without sounding like a middle school sex ed teacher? I think I'm just going to sound like a middle school sex ed teacher. Almost all humans experience these feelings about other people, and so it is very normal to want an outlet. My point is that I do not think there's anything wrong or weird about reading spicy books. I think they are fine. Some of them are really really weird to me in particular, but that is probably a me problem. And I also want to say, obviously, no hate to any of the authors who wrote the books that I talked about in this video, including Siggy Shade, who I believe is the only one who I explicitly named. These books, besides the Siggy Shade ones, which were getting some bullying in the comments, most of these books, based on the comments, seemed very well received. I saw a lot of comments like, I'm so obsessed with this book, where can I read this, it sounds so good. I seem to be in the minority here. There is nothing wrong with reading these books, and I hope that we had fun razzing them a little bit, and we can leave this knowing that the razzing was in good fun, and we don't judge people who read or write this kind of literature. That being said, please get off my For You page. Please. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!